courage, compassion, faith, freedom, truth. It's time for courage in the darkness with the host, Phil Roberts. Awakening America to the indoctrination and radicalization. Let's get into it.
Every year as we head into July, the academic elite and the cultural architects roll out the exact same line of attack. They tell you that the Declaration of Independence is an outdated 18th century relic. They say it's a document written by wealthy, land-owning men that has no bearing on the complex, globalized world we live in today. They want you to view it as a historical artifact, something to be locked behind glass in a museum, or worse, treated as a compromised text that needs to be reimagined through a modern, woke lens. They are desperate to convince you it's irrelevant because they are terrified of what is actually written on that parchment. The Declaration of Independence is not a dusty piece of history. It's the most revolutionary political document ever created, and its relevance has never been more urgent than it is right now. It is an absolute antithesis of the modern bureaucratic state. The elites want you to forget the Declaration because it explicitly denies them the power they claim over your life. It stands as a permanent, immortal warning to tyrants and bureaucrats alike that their authority has a strict limit. Let's look at the core sentence that the professional left wants to erase from the American conscience. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Notice that Thomas Jefferson did not write that your rights are granted by the king, or by Parliament, or by a Supreme Court, or by a federal agency. He wrote that they are endowed by your Creator. This is the foundational pillar of American exceptionalism, and it is the single biggest threat to the globalist agenda. If your rights come from Almighty God, then your rights are absolute. They cannot be trimmed, negotiated, or suspended by an emergency declaration. They cannot be conditioned on your compliance with a government-mandated health protocol, a carbon footprint limit, or a corporate diversity score. The modern administrative state operates on the assumption that it is the source of all authority, that it gives you permission to run your business, drive your car, speechify in public, or protect your household. The Declaration completely demolishes that assumption. It reminds every bureaucrat at the EPA, the ATF, and the DOJ that they do not own the citizens of this country. They are employees, not masters. The moment a society forgets that its liberty is a gift from God, it becomes a society where liberty can be taken away by a bureaucrat's pen. The Declaration is still relevant because it is our ultimate title deed to freedom. The document goes on to lay out the second half of the equation, stating that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Look at what's happened to Washington, D.C. over the last 40 years. We've seen the rise of a permanent political class and unaccountable bureaucracy that doesn't care about your consent. They implement sweeping mandates that control your money, your energy, and your children's education without a single vote ever being cast by someone you can replace at the ballot box. They operate in the shadows, insulated from the consequences of their decisions. This is exactly the kind of unrepresentative tyranny the signers of the Declaration pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to destroy. When you read the list of grievances against King George, it sounds chillingly familiar. The founders complained that the king had erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. That isn't just history. That is a perfect description of the modern IRS, the EPA, and the protest industrial complex that uses federal agencies to bully normal American families. The Declaration is our roadmap for resistance. It gives us the intellectual and moral framework to stand up at the school board meetings, city councils, and federal courts and say, "You do not have our consent." It reminds the silent majority that we have the constitutional and historical right to demand a government that answers to the people, rather than a people that answers to the government. The radical left wants to bury the Declaration because they want a population that is untethered from permanent truth. They want you confused, compliant, and looking to the state for permission to exist. But as long as those words endure, the fire of liberty cannot be extinguished. My job and your job is to keep that fire burning in our homes, our communities, and the hearts of our children. Teach them what 1776 actually means. Remind them that they are born free by the grace of God, and that no globalist agenda can ever take that away. Stand firm, honor the founding, and never apologize for defending the permanent truths of the American spirit. Stand with me, support the mission, refuse the silence. Check us out at titdusa.com, and I'll see you next time.